Well, as you already know by the title and thumbnail, today's aviation news is about Boeing. And unfortunately, it's not good news. However, for the handful of you who always say you're going to unsubscribe because I'm so negative towards Boeing, I'd like to politely remind you, I don't make the news. Don't get me wrong, I'm flattered you think I have such power, but sadly I just report it. After all, I'd like to think if I were actually in charge of Boeing, things would be running a lot smoother. Nevertheless, before you start hating on old Maximus again, which is fine by the way, I can take it. It is YouTube after all. But today's news comes from Reuters news service. It was created by this guy. His name is Mike Spector. So if you want to blame somebody, blame him, not cuddly, lovable old Maximus. But if you still want to take it out on me, by all means, please let me know down below. Because as always, all comments are welcome. Most comments. Okay, so now that we got that cleared up, according to Reuters and this guy, Mike Spector, insiders at the DOJ and even family members of the crash victims are saying that Boeing executives are unlikely to be criminally charged over the fatal crashes in 2018 and 2019 that killed 346 people. And this is the part that I never really thought about and call it luck or corruption. But due to the fact that from the date of the crashes, as well as the deal Boeing made with the DOJ over 3 years ago, the statute of limitations has expired. Wow, let that wash over you for a minute. But how do we and Mike Spector know this? Because like I said, according to DOJ insiders, but more importantly from the family members, last week DOJ officials met with all crash family members and told them that devastating news in a face-to-face meeting. And as you recall my last video on this subject, and I know from all your comments on that video as well, none of this comes as a surprise to us. But to finally see it in print and hear it kind of leaves you speechless. And I can't imagine how the families feel. However, details of the face-to-face meetings were corroborated by a person familiar with the gathering of family members on Friday. Well, apparently the deadline for prosecuting most federal crimes is 5 years. It was in May that the DOJ publicly thumped their collective chests and scolded Boeing for violating the 2021 Deferred Prosecution Agreement that had shielded the company from a criminal charge arising from the fatal crashes. Okay, so let's take a little math break here. The statute of limitations for a federal crime is 5 years. The crashes happened in 2018 and 2019. Add 5 years, so let's see, 18, 19, 20. So that's 6 years. That's one more than 5. But wait a minute. The Boeing criminal trial and deferred prosecution agreement was in 2021. So 2024 minus... Oh, I see what they did. That 3-year agreement just coincidentally happened to give Boeing enough time to escape the statute of limitation window. But nah, that wasn't the plan all along, was it? I mean, sure, the DOJ attorney that prosecuted Boeing quit to go work for Boeing. But it is just a coincidence, right? Like I said, let that wash over you for a minute. But it was back in 2021 at Boeing's criminal trial when officials, aka new Boeing lawyer, agreed to ask a judge to dismiss the charge of conspiring to defraud the FAA, as long as Boeing abided by the terms of the agreement over a 3-year period ending January 7, 2024. But then the brand new Alaska Airlines MAX blew a gasket in the air literally, and that led to all the NTSB hearings and all the public finger wagging at Boeing and yada yada yada.
I met this lawyer, we went out to dinner, I had the lobster bisque, we went back to my place, yada yada yada, I never heard from him again.
Still though, publicly with a wink and a nod, the US DOJ has given Boeing until June 13 to outline any disagreements with the department's findings that it violated the 2021 agreement. For their part, Boeing said it believes it has honored the terms of the agreement and looks forward to responding to the DOJ. And as for the DOJ, well, according to Mike Spector, not Maximus, they did not immediately respond to a request for comment from Reuters. The DOJ said that it's weighing several options against Boeing, including whether to prosecute or extend the DPA by another year. Yeah, because that would affect the statute of limitations even more. Oh, here comes a however. However, officials could also enter into a new DPA or reach a non-prosecution agreement that does not involve court supervision at all. Well, isn't that swell? but officials could also seek to negotiate a plea deal with Boeing over the 2021 fraud charge, or take the company back to court over it. But while Boeing could face charges over its behavior during the 3-year term of the deferred prosecution agreement, but sadly, the DOJ told the victims' families the hard truth that they have not found any evidence of felonies committed during that period. But naturally, the victims' families are still clinging to hope, asking officials to seek an enhanced sentence should Boeing be prosecuted and convicted. Not likely. But in the meeting with the families, Justice Department officials said they believe they are unable to prove cases of federal manslaughter or fraud involving aircraft parts beyond a reasonable doubt. Like I said, it's something we all knew, but the whole thing just feels dirty. What do you think? Let me know down below. Meanwhile, in related Boeing news last week, this also by way of those dastardly Boeing haters over at Reuters. FAA Administrator Mike Whitaker said he did not expect Boeing to win approval to increase production of the MAX in the next few months, and that he has no discussions with Boeing yet about the issue. He said the FAA will monitor Boeing over the coming months to understand its quality and safety improvements to give us a fundamental picture of whether they are in the right zone. We want to make sure the system is running as safely as it should. In reply to Mike Whitaker's not saying anything to Boeing, they answered late Thursday when Boeing released an 11-page executive summary of its improvement plan based on findings from FAA audits and feedback from employees and other sources, including 6 critical safety-focused production areas it will address. Boeing said the data will provide real-time insight into production system health, enabling the company to identify and remediate potential quality and thus potential safety hazards before they fully mature. Production of the 737 MAX airplane is vital to the company's finances. Wow, well that sure was a lot of words. And Boeing concluded their statement by saying that its plan covers 4 categories, including investments in workforce training and eliminating defects. And finally, the CEO of Airbus seems to subscribe to the kick 'em when they're down policy, as Christian Scherer, CEO of Airbus Commercial Aircraft Business, told a German weekly magazine with a name I'm not even going to try and pronounce, but you'll see it on the screen, that Boeing's issues were a burden for the entire aviation industry. He was quoted with actual quotes that Boeing's problems could cause more people to question how safe flying actually is. But the Airbus CEO Scherer rejected claims that Airbus could raise its own jet prices as a result of Boeing's problems, adding that pricing was guided purely by demand, outstripping supply, and that it was difficult to predict how things would pan out in the future. He concluded in a cool accent, I'm sure, that I dare say that an airline competitor can behave in a relatively unpredictable manner. If a company has dozens of planes in stock involuntarily, it could start a major sell-off. Wow, I sure wish Apple followed that same philosophy. Well, that's going to wrap it up for now. You're all up to date on the wonderful world of Boeing. Now it's your turn. Let me know down below. And remember, I don't make the news, I just report it, good or bad, either way. But I always want to hear from you. Until next time, this is Maximus.